Hey everyone, my name's Nick. This is going to be the Comeback Journey podcast. Never done a podcast before. The first few will probably suck, but that's okay. It's a learning process, right? What I want to do is tell my story and give other people the opportunity to tell their story and hopefully bring some value to anyone that needs it. Let's jump right in. Like I said, my name's Nick. I'm 28 years old. I live in San Diego, California. I grew up here. My childhood was not bad. We lived in a house. My parents, my brothers, and I. I'm one of three boys. I'm the middle child. We lived in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house until I was 12, I think. My parents divorced when I was 11 or 12, and my dad moved out. He lived in the area for about a year and then moved back to Illinois, where he's from. Both my parents are from Illinois. Shortly after that, we moved into a new house, my mom and brothers and I. And like a month after we moved into that house, we took a vacation to go visit my grandparents in Illinois and, see some family. And we were gone for about 2 weeks. And when we came back, I was the first one to walk to the house and open the front door. And there was just a couple of inches of water. I guess one of the water pipes had burst in the bathroom and was spraying water out full force for 5 days. So we bounced around. We stayed with my aunt and uncle down the street. We stayed at one of my friend's houses with his family. Eventually rented a condo short-term while the house was being repaired. And it was rough. My brothers and I didn't really get along at that point. And I can remember a time where my mom was just so fed up and frustrated that, she started yelling, and she was like, if you guys cannot figure out how to get along, I'm going to put you in foster care. She couldn't handle it. We just didn't get along, and it was not a good time. I went to Catholic school, 1st grade through 8th grade. And in 6th grade, we got this new kid that came. He just moved from Canada, and we got along really well. We hit it off, and this is a really small group of kids. My graduating class from 8th grade was 32 people, so most of which had been in the same class since 1st grade. So we all knew each other really well. And 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I got bullied a lot from kids that were previously my best friends. And I wasn't a confrontational person. I didn't stick up for myself at all. And I can remember a time in 8th grade, a small number of kids tested into a higher math class, and I was in that class. And these kids can be mean at that age, and they were just constantly making fun of me and talking shit. And I was in the back of class one day just with my head down crying because I felt so bad, and my confidence was so low, my self-esteem was awful, and it was I don't know if traumatizing is the right word, but it affected me. And when I got into high school, I went to Catholic high school for a couple months my freshman year, and then I transferred to a public high school. I'd never been to public school before, and I didn't know a single person there except my older brother. We didn't really get along. So my freshman year, I just went to school and went home and did some homework and read a lot of books, and that was about it. But that year, my freshman year of high school, I had 3 classes with my buddy Jack, and we're still great friends to this day. And I'm so thankful that I met him. And also my freshman year, I had a class with this kid Cody, and again, still one of my best friends to this day. My sophomore year of high school, New Year's Day 2007, I was in my room and I heard my mom answer the phone in the kitchen, and then she just let out this blood-curdling scream, and I opened the door and ran out, and she was just collapsed on the kitchen floor sobbing. And she had just gotten a phone call that her brother, my Uncle John, who lived in Illinois, had been stabbed and killed. And I was like 15 at the time. I'd never really had anything like that happen. I didn't really know how to handle it. I think I just kind of went emotionally numb. It was weird though, because growing up, my mom had always told me, oh, you're so much like your Uncle John. He was a goofy guy and kind of goober and just real easygoing, and I'm also like that. So I felt like a little more connected with him, and it was a difficult time. And then my junior year of high school, I think it was my junior year, my mom got diagnosed with cancer. And my older brother at that point had moved to Seattle for college. My little brother was in like 5th or 6th grade, and my mom was in bed for months, and we had some support. My mom's brother, my uncle, and aunt lived 5 houses down on the same street, so we had some support from them. And my mom's friends all helped out. They would bring meals and help us with errands and grocery shopping and all that. But it was really rough. Also, my junior year of high school, I started dating this girl, my first girlfriend ever, and we were together like 8 or 9 years. We broke up a couple times during that time period, but for a long time. And I was like fully convinced that I was going to be with this girl the rest of my life. But towards the end of my senior year of high school, I started partying and drinking and smoking and doing drugs. And my 18th birthday was in June 2009, like a week before I graduated high school. I wasn't like pressured into it. I asked one of my friends, like, hey, where can I get some cocaine? Because I wanted to do it. And that was the first time I'd ever done it. And for the next couple years, I pretty much did whatever drugs I could find and pretty much continued on that path. Led to a lot of lying and stealing and selling and a lot of shitty stuff. And 2015, I went to rehab for the first time voluntarily. I didn't want to lose my girlfriend, and I wanted to, make my mom happy. Neither of them were okay with any kind of drug use. I had this double life for sure. So I went to rehab, and I was in there for 45 days, and the day after I got out of rehab was my birthday. I went to the bar and I had a couple beers because in my head, as long as I'm not racking lines in the bathroom, then I'm okay. It does not work. Inside of a week, I was doing drugs again, and shortly after that, I got kicked out of my mom's house. And at this point, my dad was living back in San Diego. He was staying on the couch in the living room of one of his friends' houses. And I hadn't talked to him in months. And I called him, said, I don't have anywhere to go. So I walked like 6 or 7 miles at like 7 o'clock in the morning to the house that he was living at. And then I started sleeping on the other couch in the living room for a couple months. In November 2015, he and I both moved to Illinois. His whole family's out there, and I just wanted to run away from my problems. So I went out there, and it turns out your problems follow you when you try to run away from them. I had 2 jobs pretty quickly out there, working 2 jobs at the same time, and still, a couple weeks after being out there, I found a dealer and started doing drugs again. And I was out there for 5 months, and I called my mom and I begged her to let me come home. Please let me come home. I said, you can give me random drug tests, whatever I needed to say to convince her to let me come home. And she agreed. I flew home like 2 days later, and I was back in San Diego for less than a month before I got a DUI for driving under the influence of a controlled substance. I was at a work event and I was drinking and doing coke all day and got a DUI. And my mom let me stay in the house, and I was real good at pretending and hiding what I was doing. So I was working at a job. I wasn't just like a bum staying, I gave off the illusion that I was doing well. And January 2017, I got a drug charge, and kept going. That didn't stop me. It didn't really faze me. And finally, April 2017, I came home from a weekend. I left my mom's house, didn't tell her where I was going, and I went to this guy's house, and I was there for 4 days. I just got my tax return, and I spent my entire tax return in 3 or 4 days. And I took an Uber back to my mom's house at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I get there, and I have my hoodie pockets full of beer, and I had some coke and some ecstasy, and I was on ecstasy. And I realized that when I left a few days before, I had left my house keys in my bedroom, so I was locked out. So I went through the side gate and yanked off the screen on my bedroom window, and luckily the window was unlocked, and so I crawled in through the window into my bedroom, and I just I realized that I was about to be 26, no job at this point. I had gotten fired, no money, and I was on the verge of being kicked out, very close. I knew it. I could see it coming. And so I talked to my mom, and I went back to rehab. April 23rd, 2017. I've been clean and sober since. And that's not to say that my life is sunshine and roses since that point. It's not. November 2017, I stupidly agreed to do this job to make some extra money because I wanted a new car, and I got arrested for aiding and abetting the transportation of illegal aliens for financial gain. That's going to be on my record the rest of my life. And stupid. I knew what I was doing. I agreed to it. It wasn't like I was like tricked into doing something I didn't want to do. And I was sober at the time, so I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but I did it. I was on supervised probation up until March of this year, March 2019. I had to call every day to see if I had to take a drug test, and I wasn't allowed to leave the county of San Diego without permission. I had my probation officer and a U.S. Marshal come and inspect my mom's house to make sure that it was an adequate living situation for a productive member of society. And I don't know, man. It was a weird time. I took all of 2018 to myself. I didn't date anybody. I just kind of wanted to see like who I was as a person and what I wanted. And I didn't, go as in depth as I would have liked to as far as figuring out like what I wanted to do and pursuing that. But I did do a lot of internal work and external work. I had this goal of getting to a certain weight and getting in a really good shape, and I did that. I saved up money and bought a new car. I hadn't had a car in almost 9 years, and I had some money saved in the bank, and I was feeling pretty good. And February 2019, I met this girl, and we hit it off right away, and we now live together. This is our apartment. It's been amazing. I've never lived with a significant other before, so I was freaking out on the inside, and it turns out it's amazing. It's not perfect all the time, but I'm very happy with where I'm at. Backtrack a little bit to when I got out of rehab in 2017. Very shortly after that, I got a job at Costco. And I still work there. It's, a stable job, health benefits, 401k, all the good stuff. And I've been working various second jobs in addition to Costco pretty much the whole time. Oh, I would say since the beginning of 2018, so almost 2 years I've been working 2 jobs. And I worked at Einstein Bagels. I worked as a bartender at a restaurant in the neighborhood. And then I quit the bartending job, and I got offered a job as a manager at a restaurant. And I took it. I was super excited. I'd been there a month. They gave me a raise. And then less than a month after that, which was 2 weeks ago, I got a text from the owner. She said, "Can you come in a little early for your shift? I want to talk to you." I said, "Sure." Kind of weird. I didn't really know what it was about. I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. I was performing very well. And I go in and I sit down, and she hands me my last check. She told me that she could no longer afford to keep me on the payroll. And it sucked. I have these goals, like a savings goal I want to reach, and I'd like to, have money for down payment on a condo or a house. And like, I'm not going to reach those goals just working at Costco. Costco does automatic raises based on the amount of hours that you work. So pretty much you just have to show up to work and you keep getting more and more money. But I don't want to work retail the rest of my life. But I don't really know what else to do right now as far as career opportunities. But I've been talking to this guy. He owns his own business, and he wants me to work for him. So we've been in contact, and I'm hoping that it works out and that there's enough upside for me to take it. I'd really like to take it. But the financial aspect is kind of freaking me out. So I'm not really sure what is going to happen or what direction I'm going to take. But throughout this last couple months, I had this idea that I wanted to start a brand, and I wanted to bring value to people's lives and inspire them and show them that it doesn't matter how bad you fucked up in the past or what you've done or who you were, you can always make a comeback, and you can get out of whatever hole you've dug for yourself. If you want it bad enough, you can fight and you can claw and scratch, and you can get out and make something better for yourself. And I think just about everybody can relate to that in some way or another. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm really excited. This is episode number 1, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, and I'm hoping that it will blossom into something amazing. I feel like, for me at least, in my head, I can see a possible future of what my life could be. And I have these fleeting moments where in my head I see that future as what will be, not what could be. And I'm on the verge of getting to the mental state where I fully believe that what I see as my future is what will be my future. And I think that some form of pursuing what I actually want to do, and not just working 2 jobs to save money for just to have money. There's a big part of me that still believes that, like, if I can get all the money, I can solve all my problems. But I think that if you resolve what you have going on internally, you can solve your problems. And that's not to say that I believe all my problems will go away once I find who I am. But if I can like peel the layers and really be the best version of myself that I can be, I think that I have a lot more opportunity to be happy happier than I am right now, happier than I've ever been. And I'm already happier than I've ever been as of right now. So if I can get to the next level, and if I can get other people to believe that they can get to that next level, man, that would be fucking amazing. So thanks for watching and listening, and stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more.